ladies, let's all take a moment to appreciate that we all have drinks, or at least most of us have drinks here.
I have Diet Pepsi.
Woo! And from I love Taco Bell.
Wow.
Look, I'm so sorry. I don't care what anyone says. I love Taco Bell. Give me a cheesy gordita crunch.
When you're craving nachos and you have $1.10 available to you, you go to freaking Taco
Something about a black bean, a Crunch Wrap Supreme just hits me at the right spot at 4 a.m. It just hits me.
What did we turn into?
What is this, guys? Guys, this is I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what year it is. What time. We have alcohol in hands. We're here to chat with the Ice Pick himself, one of the really rising stars of the dungeon, Mr. Vinnie Mancuso himself. Really excited to chat with him pretty soon. But we're going to be diving into his match against Sabrina Spicy Ramirez. So,
Spicy. Okay, so ladies, can I ask you really quickly about the nickname Spicy? This is the first time that we've seen Sabrina's nickname. Sabrina's been super hyped up for a very long time, and now here she is. So just a little bit. So Spicy as a nickname, I'm gonna tell you, with the same surname, Ramirez. Ramirez is my last name. If some of you didn't know, I very much enjoy her having the nickname Spicy. How do y'all feel about that?
It's definitely fitting. Like, having gotten to talk to her a few times and things like that, I feel like it's a very fitting nickname. It just sounds good. It sounds intimidating. I like it a lot.
Yes. Also, I'm so sorry. Really quickly, before we continue and before we get started, Oscar Romo, my sweet homie Oscar out there, did donate into the last episode that we had, which was the breakdown for the Brendan Meyer Alonso Duralde match. Please go back and watch that match, like it, comment on it, all of that good stuff. But during that time, I'm so sorry, Oscar, that we missed it, but Oscar did give a $3 donation, can't speak because tequila, just because you guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Oscar. We love you so much. Genuinely appreciate it. So I'm gonna let Alex take over from here.
Well, interrupt away if we get Streamlabs or any of that good stuff. But we got questions from the chat, from people that wanting to talk about Vinnie. I'm so excited. So, okay, real quick before we bring him on board, this is a guy with a personality. This is a guy that's obviously part of the dungeon. This is a guy that we knew nothing about going into it. Before we bring him on board, though, what did you, kind of think was going to happen in this match? What did you have any ideas? Starting with you, Danie?
So, okay. Sabrina has so much hype behind her, and just as a lady who watches the league, I'm always gonna kind of hope that a lady goes forward into the match, but also as someone who's been a fan of the dungeon for so long, watching Vinnie do what he did in the teams match, I absolutely wanted to see him do more. I wanted to see him more in the league. I loved that mohawk that he came out in. Please give me more punk inside of Schmodown.
Right?
That's all that I want. I just need more punk inside of Schmodown, please and thank you. So having Vinnie come in, and also Vinnie coming in the way that he does with a margarita, that just speaks to me on so many levels. So going into this match for me, it was very half and half. I really wanted to root for Sabrina because I love her. I love her personality. I think she's done great on SEN, and she's a young voice inside of the movie critic atmosphere that I think that deserves focus and attention. And she's so smart. If you listen to any of her reviews, she's so smart. But at the same time, I really wanted the dungeon to just come in and just wreck shop, because I want the dungeon to do well. I love Kaiser. I love Smets. I love everything that the dungeon has been doing. So this was a very 50-50 match for me. I would have been happy with either way that the matches would have gone. I didn't go into those matches, and I'd love to hear it from other Schmodown fans. Are there any matches that any of you all go into that are I don't really care who wins. I want to see how this kind of works out, because I appreciate both of these competitors as players, because that was how I went into this match. Genuinely would have been happy either way with it. Kelsey, let me know.
Yeah,
I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going into it, Danielle.
Sorry.
Sabrina, is super awesome. I enjoy her. I was so excited. Of course, she said women in the league. I love seeing them do really well and things like that. However, I'm also one of those people that if you hype somebody a lot, part of me just like, I kind of want to see this go the other way sometimes, right? So that's kind of what I'm going to. I'm like, I love the dungeon. Kaiser's my man. They're just such a fun group of people, and just that little feeling inside where I'm like, we've been talking about her a lot. This is, so I was going in thinking the dungeon was gonna reign supreme.
Not kidding. I had no idea that you guys were dungeon fans. That's news to me. No.
Is it?
Crazy. I know. Dude's like, okay, guys, over in the chat. I know it's the first time hearing from him for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and bring him on board. You know him as one half of the Butcher Boys, debuting just a few months ago, against Pride, where they played fantastic with an awesome 25 points in their debut team match. He's a really good friend of Kaiser. Let's bring on the ice pick himself, Mr. Vinnie Mancuso. What's up, my dude?
I'm gonna try and not do this. That was brought up a lot after the match of how much I was doing this. I didn't realize I was doing that. That was like a completely nervous thing. But it was kind of like helping me calm down. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go with it. I'm just gonna go with it.
That's a great segue, Vinnie. I have a question for you. So it's not technically your rookie year, is that correct?
No, it is.
It is. Okay.
He played his first match earlier this year against the Pride.
I mean, it feels like this year has been fucking 6 years long. So I feel like
what is time, Vinnie? What is time?
I debuted in 1994. Remember that?
That's probably what it is inside of my brain. So you have competed in a match in the studio. You've done a studio match. You've done an online match, Vinnie. Tell me how you feel about the difference between the two of those, being in studio and online.
Well, I think I have a pretty big advantage over a lot of people because I work for Collider and work in the Collider studio. Mm-hmm. So it's funny. I hear people being like, when I walked into the studio for the first time, it was overwhelming, and I'm like, that's my desk over there. I work here. So I always thought that I had a pretty big advantage in the studio because I go there every day. I work there. But the digital match was weird. I was waiting the entire time for my internet to crap out. You have to worry about lighting, which I don't know how to do. I was talking to Wit beforehand. He's like, can you close those blinds, and it's going out of focus. I was just like, I don't know what you're saying, man. I thought you just needed light on top of you. What do you mean? He was like, the aperture is changing, and I was like, what the hell is an aperture? What do you mean? So the fact that you have to set up your own studio was stressful because I was already stressed, and then 10 minutes before I was like, oh, is the eye line right? Are they gonna be able to see my whiteboard? So I prefer the studio matches. I'm sure everyone does, but I prefer them just I think everyone does because they're more fun. I miss just hanging out. But as far as competing, I miss it because I was just this is just another day at the office. Whatever, man. I did movie talk there. I would sit there with Perry and just
I miss movie
hang
talk.
out. R.I.P. movie talk.
Don't let me cry, Vinnie.
Don't
let me cry.
That's a completely different day, and might get me fired. So let's just move on from Collider movie talk. But yeah, I miss the studios, and I just miss I don't think a lot of people know how many matches are filmed a day, in studio. Yeah. So I would go at 10 a.m., watch the first match, and then just stay until 10 at night. Just even if I didn't have a match, and it was fun. It was you'd watch the matches live, and even on days I wasn't competing, I'd watch Zipper play, and then Parker would be playing 4 hours later, so we'd hang out. It was a big way for me to get comfortable in LA because I had just moved there. So I that's kind of why I'm in the Schmodown, because I was like, oh, this is fun. I guess I'll compete, and I did, and here I am.
Well, it sounds like overall, obviously being part of the Collider family, actually being in the area, actual area, the studio itself, where Schmodown was it was filmed and everything, you're no stranger to a lot of the personalities and everyone that's involved, like Jeff Snyder, Tom. Just Tom. It's just Tom. A lot of these really, a lot of these really great people, obviously. So was it kind of weird doing this character version of yourself and going up against like your friends and coworkers, or was it actually, if anything, you actually kind of really loved, putting on this character and kind of combating that?
It is weird. Like I know John Roca is John Roca. Like I met him as like my coworker.
Not the Outlaw.
I didn't know about the Outlaw until like a year after I met John Roca. I was like, why does he have a cowboy hat on his desk? He's like,
I don't even know why. I still don't know why.
Like he's like this sweet, great guy, and I've really enjoyed working with him. And then I see the Showdown. I'm just like, holy shit. Like I had no idea. I honestly, it's so weird. I worked next to it. I had no idea about the Showdown. I work with Jeff Snyder every day. I work with Tom every day. It's just like it's weird to see people like respond to them as characters, and now there are people responding to me as a character, and I'm just like, this is also, it's all very strange. I want to stress right up front, this is all very, very strange.
Well, speaking of characters, thinking of, getting into that mindset a little bit. So there's a lot of competitors when they go into Schmoedown for the first time, sometimes they have a character, if it's like their little introduction into it, but you've been almost like you said, you've been watching him, these matches and everything being filmed for a long while, just as a regular fan, behind the scenes. So going into it, did you request to have a character? Did you kind of low-key request to kind of be this kind of like rough and tumble, kind of character, or did someone like kind of propose that idea to you?
Well, I definitely did not request the nickname the Ice Pick.
No?
I got a text from Kaiser. He's like, Christian says you could either be the Ice Pick or this, and I was like, the Ice Pick. He was like, all right, you're the Ice Pick. I was like, cool. What does that mean? Like, I've never used an Ice Pick in my life. But I don't know. It just sort of I just thought it would be more interesting to like have fun. Like I bought that vest at Marshall's. The margarita thing was just like a funny idea me and Kaiser were talking about. 'Cause we were talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I was like, it's very funny when we saw the thing. And I was like, oh, I'll hold the thing. And it just like on the day, like I made a margarita in studio and I was like, I'm gonna bring this out. It all really did not. No, it was not planned. Everything was just like, I'm going to put on as much weird shit. Like, I'm going to pretend I'm going to like a theme party in college. Go to Marshall's, buy a cheap vest, make a margarita, and I'll see what happens. And it all just sort of like came from there. And it was also like, I'm not a big like video guy. And I was like, I kind of want to do a character that requires me to talk as little as possible. I was like, so my thing is I don't talk. Like, my thing is that I don't say a lot. And I was like, perfect. Awesome. Like, I don't have to answer any questions. I don't have to do promos. I can just like speak in one word sentences. So it was just sort of a natural like progression of me. Like, I would rather have fun doing this than just like be Vinnie Mancuso from Collider.com.
So when you got the nickname the Ice Pick, were you already aware of the team named the Butcher Boys? And if you were, did you think that Ice Pick was a name that resonated well with it? Or once you found out that Butcher Boys was the name of the team, then did the Ice Pick nickname sort of click a little bit?
So I don't want to like demystify the process.
No. If you don't, this podcast, we never want to get anyone in trouble for anything ever. So if you don't feel comfortable talking about something,
anyone would get in trouble. I just don't want to like. It's just so not a cool story. It's just like I'm pretty sure this was like we were chat one day, and Mugen had like a picture of the poster from the movie The Butcher Boys. And he's like, wouldn't it be funny if this was our name? I was like, what is funny? And like, I think like Christian heard that and was like, you're the Butcher Boy. So that's
Butcher Boy.
I did already know it was the Ice Pick, and he knew he was Madman Mugen, and was just like, okay. And it just we all were just sort of like, we'll play off of Kaiser, like, because Kaiser has enough personality for like 6 people. So it's just like we'll hand the mic to Kaiser. He'll do his thing, and we'll just whatever happens. So like our entire shtick comes from just like being in Kaiser's orbit and just like in like his gravitational pull, and everything came after that.
I do think that the nicknames, especially because we were in the Schmodown world, we were introduced to you as a team member. So I do think that like your nickname and the team name does work very well for each other. So that's my opinion. I'm sorry.
They do work well together. They do.
Works out. I have embraced being the ice pick. I still don't know what an ice pick looks like. I don't know what an ice pick is.
It just almost looks like one.
You have one?
So I mean,
I'm just gonna draw one. It looks like one big needle. That's all it is. And you crack out of like a block of ice.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's crack out a block of ice. Or you stab someone's eye out.
Yeah, or you stab somebody with it.
Like
in Basic Instinct.
Yeah,
If there's like a classic Schmodown question, I'm like waiting for someone to ask me that, and I'll just be like, mate, like I'm the ice pick. Like it's me. Like I that's the only context I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's amazing.
I am waiting for a question follow-up where it's specific to like Basic Instinct, and that's like the whole thing. But okay, so we're talking about your question. You talked about your costume, all that good stuff. I have to know two things. One, are you drinking real margaritas? And two, did you shave your head for the character? I gotta know. I need the answers, my dude. I need the answers, Vinnie.
Very in-depth questions for this. Those I can go in deep on. The first question I would very much like to address. I am drinking a real margarita. I have seen comments. I've heard reaction videos. They're like, "That's not a real margarita," and I'm like, "Have you ever just drank margarita mix like by itself? It's disgusting." And like, second of all, like, I'm not drinking that much. Like, I'm not getting wasted. Like there's no reason to not just have a real margarita. It relaxes you. You feel like you're on a beach. You feel like you're in the sun. Like it's just like a natural, relaxing tactic. And everyone's like, that's not a real margarita. So I would like to set the record straight right now. All you out there making your reaction videos and your podcasts and whatever. I sound like an old man. I'm 20 years old. It's a real margarita. There's real alcohol in it. There's real tequila in it. For the teams match, I did accidentally buy sugar-free margarita mix. So the entire time, this is disgusting. I think that's why we lost.
It is definitely a bad omen.
The entire time, I was like, this is disgusting. But I got the right one. I got the right one for this match, and look what happened. So that's the secret. The hair did not come because of the Schmodown. The hair came because I was living in California by myself in the middle of a pandemic, and got bored and was like drunk. And like it was like I've had a mohawk before.
On a margarita?
That's what happens when you're bored.
Pointing to her hair.
It was whatever was in the house. I've had a mohawk before, so I was like itching to get back to it, and not leaving your house was like, well, who do I have to impress? So I did it myself, and it did not look this good. It looked horrible when I did it myself. But then I came back, and my girlfriend sort of fixed it up. She did like triage on it. Like
nice.
It did what you could, but like it. So no, the answer is it was not because of the Schmodown, but I was kind of hyped because I was like, well, this is what a person named the Ice Pick would look like. So
I think so. I think it works.
Yeah.
Well. It's the crop vest also I think works very very well for the character. You should make sure that you have a cat with you the next time.
I don't have a cat. I do have a bulldog.
Oh
my gosh! I
would legitimately love to get him on camera one day in the Schmodown, but he doesn't do what he doesn't want to do. I have to wrap him up and thing. He weighs like 70 pounds, so it's not gonna happen.
That's the most on-brand thing I've ever heard a Schmodown competitor say.
I was like hoping he would interrupt the match. I was just like, get in here, but he was like, fuck you, I'm sleeping. Like
also on brand.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, we're just going to be diving into this match here in a hot second, but I do want to ask you one question real quickly. You're going against Sabrina Ramirez. The woman is obviously very talented, a whole lot of hype and everything, versus you, who's that's played one team match prior. What are you thinking going into this match? Like, what is your thought process? Are you kind of nervous, picking your categories? Did you study all that much or?
I was talking to Wit about it. Wit and Kaiser. We had this whole conversation, and I was like, I don't think any of this like hype or her being on the exchange with all the the people. I was like, I don't think any of that's gonna help. I was like, that's gonna like nobody knows me from fucking anybody. Like like nobody cared about me in the match, and I was like, if I lose, I lose. Who cares? But I was like, she has like already like a passionate fandom. She has probably like Bateman and Barbarian and all of them like
Roca, Merle,
and like me, Wit, and Kaiser just like chilling, just like did this movie come out? And I was like 1996. Like that's how we study like that. It's a very chill thing. It's like, and I feel like that is the way to approach this. People freak themselves out. And I'm like, it's movie trivia. Like, just answer the questions, man. Like, it's not a big deal. So, I mean, all credit in the world to her. She did great. She did great. When she started coming back, I was terrified. I didn't know anything about her. Like, we follow each other on social media, and that's the height of it. But she did great. She's only 22 years old, and she knows a ton about movies. So she's
no, seriously. So that's really interesting to hear because that seems like a different type of strategy between the dungeon and the Finstock Exchange, which was a huge heated match going in there, like for Schmodown fans, for everything that's going on behind it, like where the factions lie between the Exchange versus the dungeon was a big factor going in there. Do you ever think about where the faction points lie? We as fans, we don't really get to see a lot of you, Vinny. Like I know that me personally, I haven't seen a lot of you outside in other reactor videos or in any other fan content or anything like that. So we don't necessarily get in my preference, we don't get your opinion on stuff like that, but I'd love to get your opinion on your specific factions going against each other, the dungeon going against the exchange. How did you feel going against the Finstock Exchange, which has a heavy round of hitters in faction? How did you
no idea what you're talking about?
I've told Kaiser this a million times. I was like, I honestly don't think I'd be as into this like if it wasn't for you. Like I love being in the dungeon and I love everybody in the dungeon. And it's like before this season, I would have been like, whatever, man. Like I wouldn't care. And then I went out. This is what happened. I got drafted. I was like, okay, this will be fun. Kaiser texted me. He was like, me, you, and Mugen will go out. We'll talk about the Schmodown and like see how you feel. And what was supposed to be like an hour-long conversation turned into like a 4-hour-long just like fucking beer fest. And we were like, at the end of the night, we had like our arms around each other. We were like, oh, fucking die for the dungeon, man.
That's so on brand.
That's so on brand for
it was honestly
for the dungeon.
Ever since then, I was just like, I do care about where we are in the faction. And like, I don't know, like I feel like we really are just like Kaiser always says we're the bad news players. We're like we're the underdogs. We're always going to be the underdogs. We're like the trash basement people. We're like the weird like misfits. And it's just like we're right where we're supposed to be. We're right in the middle, but we're still scoring points. We're still taking points away from the Finstock Exchange, who really are like the kids who would be like, didn't we have homework? Like they just strike me as like
I love that. I love that. Okay, so really quickly before we get into anything else, like especially for you coming into this league, this is your rookie year coming into this league. This has been a podcast that has been around for 2 years now. Yes. So there are fans that have been a part of the Schmodown for multiple years. The Schmodown has been a part of my life since season 2. So this has been around for me for a very long time. So for you as a rookie competitor coming into a league like this, where there are fans who have been a part of this for years, is there any pressure in the singles tournament for you as a competitor in this fan, especially because this is somewhat all new to you going into like even managers is the new thing for the league as a whole. So like for you personally, is this I can't think of the right words to say. Alex, Kelsey, I'm so sorry, but like as fans of the Schmodown that we've loved for so long, like how do you feel as a new competitor coming into it for people like us? I'm so sorry, Kelsey, sorry, Alex.
I mean, you never want to look like an idiot on the internet. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's true.
Like this is what surprised me about the Schmodown, which again I didn't know much. It's like it has a legitimate, gigantic, passionate fan base. Like I would have never ever in a million years thought that this thing had like the kind of fan base it does. And as soon as I realized that, I was like, yeah, I don't want to like disappoint these people. You know what I mean? Like I at the end of the day, I'd rather like have an entertaining match and like, you know, have people like it, have people like me. Like I don't care who knows it, but I'd rather people like me. Like it's just like I'd say the pressure comes from just like not realizing how big it is, and then being like thrown into it and getting like tagged on Twitter and tagged on Facebook and being like, oh my god, like I just wanted to answer questions about movies. Like this is insane. So it's just it is like there's pressure, but like not on like a personal, like I'm not like afraid of, you know, like I'm not like Kaiser's not gonna like kick me out of the dungeon if I lose a match. Like it's nothing like that. Like it's my first year. I've had 2 matches. Like I'm playing Ethan Irwin next, like in my second. So it's all been very whatever, man. Like like it is what it is. I like I said in the match, I'd rather win than lose. As I feel like most people would, like in the world. Like I feel like most people would rather win than lose. And I will say I had this. I went into my teams match like with a hardcore like whatever. If I lose, I lose. Who cares? I remember I was like sitting in the bar with Kaiser afterwards, and I was like, I'm like really mad we lost. Like I wasn't expecting at all to like care, and then we lost, and I was just like, oh, like I was like, fuck them. I was just like that Kevin Smith slide, and then I was just like, wait, why am I so mad? Like why am I so mad? So you get sucked into it, as I'm sure you guys know. You get completely.
I mean, I don't spend a minimum of 15 hours of my day committed to the Schmodown every single day of my life for the last 5 years now. No. Okay, I'm sorry.
I wish that was an exaggeration, I wish it was an exaggeration where I would say I would literally be lying in bed at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, talking to my husband about conspiracy theories behind who is behind the Schmoominati, or whether or not this manager is the best person for this competitor, or based on this strategy and everything. So there's a lot. The point is, Schmodown is amazing for a lot of different reasons. One, especially, is its fandom. Schmodown has a lot of amazing fans, and you know we're a small group, but we're slowly growing. And we always we love us some new characters. We love us some awesome matches. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and dive into this match, especially. We are going to be skipping the promos, all that good stuff, guys. It was released yesterday, and I know that feels like forever and a day ago with all the stuff going on right now, but it was released yesterday. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out, or you can just hang out with us. Just want to let you know it will be on close to mute, so we're just going to be hanging out and chatting while going through this, and just take a moment to appreciate those sunglasses.
I'm just like looking at myself, just like
like look at the you look like one of the Mortal Kombat characters.
Yeah, like the loading screen. I look like a loading screen.
Like or Street Fighter.
I will say, listen, if anyone out there struggles with camera shyness or whatever, give it a try, because I felt great. They're doing this. I was like, you know what? It's not so bad.
Okay, so Vinny, I'm a hairdresser. That's my job. That's what I do. So do you put anything in your hair? Do you style your hair at all before these matches? Or is that just like your natural coif?
If it ever looks like it's styled, that's grease. Like I hate to admit it, but I don't put anything in it. I should actually spike it up, but this is me.
I mean, if it ever gets too long in a specific place, just a tiny bit of pomade just to get it.
I would love like some tips on how to not look like such trash. Like I feel like it's just like it works for the character, but then like I'm just like hanging out like in real life, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, actually, I'm gonna get a fucking like ticket from just like loitering for too long.
You low-key look like almost like the rebel brother, maybe of Superman.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You know, with the curl. Like if you look at it like at a certain angle, like I can totally picture like Superman vibes.
I'm not gonna fight you on that. Like I'm not gonna be like,
I'll take that as a compliment.
I don't look like a movie.
That is a great compliment. Okay.
I do have this curl, which is thing with me. So this, I have never seen the film Draft Day. It's so funny. The day before the match, I was talking to my coworkers, including Tom, who does talk in real life. I was like, I've like never seen like a lot of Kevin Costner movies. I was like, I don't really like Kevin. We had this whole conversation about how I don't like Kevin Costner for no reason.
Like Bill Durham, Field of Dreams.
I've seen I've seen like all the ones you're supposed to see because I like to fill my gaps. But like there are no Kevin Costner movies where I'm like I love that movie. So when I heard Kevin Costner, I was just like, fucking Costner, man. Like I was just like, I got a Costner question. Yeah, there was never a chance of me answering the Draft Day question right, which is annoying. I don't know if I'm allowed to like spoil what's gonna happen.
I mean, yeah, you totally can.
For this match, yes.
Okay. I have not played Ethan Irwin yet. I don't have to like lie to you. That match has not happened yet. But this match is the second time I've gone 7 for 8 in the first round, which is like so frustrating. Like I know it makes me sound like such a jerk to be like, oh, only 7 points, but like I've been 1 away from a perfect round both times, and I just like want that perfect round. So
yeah.
Vinny, I don't this is always a weird question for me to ask. So I feel like you're around my age. So I was born in 87. Are you around that age gap?
I was born in 91.
Okay. So Sabrina was definitely a lot later than that. I cannot.
Yeah,
she's like a 99 or 98 or something.
I feel like she might have been in the 2000s. I genuinely do not know.
Well, she was born in I know she was born prior to 2000 because she's more than 20 years old. So.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I'm not a math major, but yeah.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. Yeah. So, Vinny, my question for that is, do you feel like age has any sort of, do you feel like age is a big predicament for this whole Schmodown in general? Yeah. Do you feel like age plays a big factor in that?
100%. Like that info has just been like sponged into your brain longer. You know what I mean? Like if you're 40, you've been watching movies for 40 years. You're 20, you've been watching. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a scientist either, so this could be wrong too. But I just feel like those facts have been in your brain longer. You know what I mean? So like you see more movies just based on the time you've been alive. So it's just sort of I do think younger competitors do have it. Like they have to catch up because those movies are ones they wouldn't have seen. If you're 40, you've seen movies from 4 different decades. If you're 20, you've seen movies from maybe 2 different decades. So I do think this is one of the few things in the world where I do think younger competitors have a disadvantage. But then you see someone like the Kid, who is the Kid, and like I watched this match today, and he stayed with Audrey Hepburn, and I was like, you rascally little bastard.
Can you pause real quick? Pause. Okay.
Yes,
Vinny,
ma'am.
Keep going. I'm so sorry. Vinny, can you keep going?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that like there's always a exception to the rule. So like someone like the Kid he's incredible. And what is he, like 15? Like he's like
the dude is like a 30-year-old man. Okay.
My point for pausing on this specific question, 2002. Let's say that Sabrina was born in 98, 99. 02 is 3-4 years old, and what this question is almost that's an age question, because that's definitely something that you can feel like is something that you would remember if you were old enough to remember it, and would not feel like something that someone as young as Sabrina would remember And
Yeah,
then,
like I saw Signs in theaters. Like
Right.
I have a very vivid memory of seeing Signs, which is a great movie, by the way. I don't care what people say. I love
I
Signs.
like.
I like it. Yeah,
I do
But
too.
yeah,
it's like genuinely horrifying. Like
it's terrifying.
like that,
It's
like
just-
that, like creepy video with the alien.
Oh my god!
Like I remember like almost peeing myself.
Honestly, I have no chance of missing this question because that movie is ingrained in my head because of that night
Yes.
I saw it in theaters. I was with my parents. I was young. I was still young at the time, but like I will never forget that. But I feel like what were we saying? What were we saying?
No. Alex, you can continue the clip now if you'd
Okay.
like.
Oh, you can. Okay, sorry, I can.
I'm sorry.
Signs is a good movie. That was the
It
point
is.
we were trying to make.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do.
the difference is the age for
Yeah.
2002. So, like, for her to say Pet Cemetery, like, we all know very quickly, like, you read that question right away. Anyone who was around, like, that's like, if she was born in 99, 2000, she's fucking a toddler in that age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, that's a question that I very quickly was like, science. That's a no-brainer for me. So that's where that age aspect comes into question for the Schmodown. So with competitors in general, do you ever go into anything outside of this? Spoiler alert for the match, I guess. Like continuing into the Schmodown, is age anything that you factor into your competitors?
Yeah, it is. Like I honestly I didn't know how old Sabrina was before this match, and I think if I had known, I would have like tried to strategize for it. I would have put like I don't know, like classics on the wheel or something like that. But I think it's more important how many movies you've seen. Like once you see a movie, it's so much more different than like reading the IMDb page. Like you can read a plot synopsis all you want, but when you see it, if you get a question about it, you can like actually replay it back in your head. Like it's hard to like remember what an IMDb page looked like, but like once you like if you're a young person who's like seen hundreds and hundreds of movies, fair play. Like I just think that if someone tries to come in with their base knowledge and they're only like 19, 20, 21, they're just not going to have it's not their fault that they're 19.
Which I'm so sorry to interrupt every single person, Alex, Kelsey, everyone, for this, because that's I feel like the most interesting thing about Sabrina, because a lot of us went into this match feeling like Sabrina has a very well-rounded knowledge of movies in general, because we've seen her on SEN, we've seen her on First Cut, we've seen that she is completely knowledgeable in older movies, not just shit that's come out inside of like the years that she's been alive, but she's a movie fan. We've seen that she's a movie fan. So stuff like that sometimes can always be a factor inside of that. And I'm so sorry to interrupt Alex or Kelsey for anything, but like for Sabrina, going into this match, because of what we've seen for Sabrina, I'm so sorry to do this. Like how Alex and Kelsey, I'm going to start with Alex, with Sabrina going into this match, knowing what we've known about SEN history and the hype behind her. How did you feel going into this match? So sorry.
I personally don't watch all that much SCN. Personally, the handful of videos I've seen her in, I didn't see all that much, like her mention of her, exhibiting that knowledge or anything. However, people that I do trust, such as Ben Bateman and Craig the Barbarian, they all went to bat for her, saying, yeah, the chick knows shit. Okay, so sorry, pardon my French. But she's clearly very knowledgeable, very talented, and let's be honest, if there's ever a time to really watch 1,000,001 movies and classics, movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, etc., the time is now. With all the streaming services and everything we have, it is easier than ever to become a pro at these broader categories, which before was almost impossible to do. I mean, look at someone like Paul Oyama. and a former belt champion. And one of his massive big strengths is classics and 70s. So it can really go either way. But also, let's face it, if you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, you're not going to fool anyone.
Unless you're Stacy, you can just pull it for somehow.
She's got a magic
power
from God, where she's like, I gift you with this answer.
Anthony, I was there that day for the Zipper Stacy match, and it was devastating, man. You just watch the soul leave Zipper's mind. Oh man, we went out afterwards, and he was just like. Just like I know. I felt so bad for him, man. Because
my favorite Throwdown quote of all time, I think, is Zipper in that match. He's like, "I only know what I know." Stacy knows what she doesn't know.
It was incredible. I
just know Zip.
And as loud as it sounded on video when she pulled that fucking Beowulf question, man, that room erupted. It was just like she didn't know that. She didn't know that.
I honestly, I remember at the time when I watched it, I was like, I don't know, Jeffrey Rush. I know he's won for something. I don't know, though. But yeah, sometimes, having those random guesses, Makuga, the Wildman has had those random moments, Roka, as you mentioned, like, I don't know, Danie DeVito. And sometimes you're just gifted with those random, those random moments. Now, this match in particular, it is her first match, obviously, but it's also your first singles match. Now, I know you kind of talked about how, you went through a little bit of social hazing, so to speak, with, a really great fun night out, with, Kaiser and everything. But I got to know, going into this match, like, where's your mindset? Are you hyper focused? Are you trying to be chill? Are you super nervous? Are you once you realize the point gap going into the second round, where you're like, I'm good? Where was your mind at during this round?
I was actually freaking out about the point gap because I was like, it would be so embarrassing to lose. If I missed, as soon as it was 7-3 at the first round, I was just like, I feel like most people would think I would be like, hell yeah, I'm killing it. But I was like, oh my God, she's going to come back and I'm going to look like an idiot. I feel like during the whole match, no matter how far ahead or whatever, I'm always thinking about how can I lose this match? What's going to happen to make me lose this match? So this whole match was very stressful because she came back, and as soon as she hit as soon as she spun Judd Apatow, I was just like, I'm going to lose. I lost. Great, I lost. It was just every time something good happened, I was just assuming I was going to lose. And these matches feel like they take an eternity because they last a half hour, but you feel like they feel like I remember it was the 6th question of the first round, and I was like 6. I was like, we've been doing this for hours. Because you're just you want it to be over, but you have to be in the moment, so you're just it's just something time.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's definitely one of those things where I've been told for some people, they do breathing exercises in order to kind of stay sane. So another competitor told me that they actually take a shot of tequila or something right before to calm the nerves.
Or you drink a green margarita.
Or a green margarita, whatever suits your fancy. So it's, whatever, your poison is.
Yeah.
But
go through it.
Or sometimes you just
everything that happens.
Yeah, sometimes you just hold your breath until you pass out and hope for the best.
Exactly right, Alex.
Yeah.
Tape, so if I pass out, we can Nerd Chronic will make me look cool.
Yeah, they'll just edit it out. You're fine.
Nerd Chronic will make me look like the coolest man in the world after I pass out on my chair.
Well, going into the second round of this match, okay, so I know you're not going to tell us what your strengths are that you put on the wheel. However, could you tell us your thought process behind, picking your second round? I see we have, everything from Viola Davis, Sci-Fi Fantasy. We got Sly and Arnie. Obviously, Judd Apatow's off the list now. Spinner's opponent's choice, obviously, and a handful of others. So going into it, did you plan on being what's your kind of approach to going with the slide that you did, the category that you did? I mean,
I feel like the biggest thing was don't be afraid to spin away from your first choice. It's just like you almost like want to power through whatever it is. You're like, I'll take it. But like, how many categories are on a wheel? Like, there's so many options there. Like I think I got for the first time it was like Hitchcock or something, and like the Hitchcock I know I love. Like the Hitchcock I've seen, I know like that. But he's directed for like how many movies? Like you never know. Like so many of these categories are tricky. Like you see Viola Davis, you're like, I know what movies Viola Davis has been in. And it's like she's definitely been in like 15 you've never heard of. Like these specific actor categories are always like I or like directors like Christopher Nolan. You'd be like, I've seen every Christopher Nolan movie, but because you've seen them all, the questions are like fucking like what's the name of this dude's like sneaker? Like it's like the more like the more specific the category, always hard the question. So like I would almost prefer like a broad category. I would almost prefer like action adventure because that's just another round one. That's just like another like I've seen a lot of movies. So like like I don't really specifically watch Viola Davis movies. I watch movies. So if it's a broad category, I'll probably know it.
Well, if it is something like along the lines of something specifically to one director, actor, actress, that includes not only movies they have been directly involved with as an actor or director, obviously, but what's kind of been discovered through not only this match but the season in general is that a lot of these new slices, Judd Apatow in particular, that that Sabrina just spun, and that also includes producerial credits. That includes writing credits as well. Let's face it, someone like Judd Apatow, he has his fingers in a lot of pies. So
Tim Burton is. You're like, I've seen every Tim Burton movie. I'm like, you have not seen every Tim Burton movie because for the past like 20 years, like he's just been producing because
there's so much
movies anymore. But like he, they're all very like I feel like the wheel is very sneaky. Like any category you think you know a lot of, like if you think you know Sly and Arnie because you've like seen The Predator and Terminator, they've made so many shitty just like movies you've never heard of, and they will ask about them. They'll ask about like Nighthawks and like Hercules in New York, like shit you've never even heard of. It's just like you think you know it, you don't. So it's I think the wheel is a crapshoot. You either know the questions or you don't. I feel like people drive themselves insane with strategizing the wheel, and I'm just like, watch a bunch of movies and like answer the question. That's how this is gonna go.
It feels like you have a very similar thought process to Drew McWeeny, who is unfortunately he has left Schmodown. He is retired, one of the best Schmodown competitors of all time. But he like had a very similar mindset when it came to the wheel as well, where he just pretty much said, I don't like the idea that you can even respin. Either you in theory, if you're going to play in this kind of level of competition, you got to know everything. You can't just know a handful of directors or genres or decades or whatever. You got to know a little bit of every single thing. And so he mentioned he didn't like all that much of respinning anyway. So you got to, there's a lot of high risk, but also high reward as well.
I mean, I don't want to tell you my strengths, but I'll tell you what is not my strength is YA novel book adaptation. So it's just like I landed on that and I was just like, okay, I've seen
there's a lot of them. Everything from like Indie in the Cupboard to Inkheart to the Twilight movies. Oh, so many. There's
I also feel like just by grace of the job I have, like I just hear about movies like even if I don't see them, like I just know they're coming out. So like I've never like I don't watch a lot of YA novel book, but like I know they're happening. I know of their existence. So it's just like it makes like whittling down the multiple choice and like context clues. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I remember that person in that trailer. So like so it's just sort of a lot of osmosis just from like being alive. Like in the world,
and stuff.
Like watching a TV, like seeing commercials, like it's just like I don't know. I don't know if this is revealing too much about my strategy, but I feel like my strategy is to just like underthink the other person.
That is 100% a strategy. Overthinking it can
just to like think way less than you. Just like think way less about this game than you, and I think that came into play here. I don't know how it's going to come into play against Erwin, but we can talk. We can talk about that later.
Yeah. I honestly feel like going into this, when I heard this category, I was like, oh my gosh, Sabrina, considering her age, this is right up her alley, young adult adaptations.
I'm pretty sure, I'm like 90.
Yeah, so
she put this on the wheel to like screw.
Yeah, I was like ready for her to like get some steals from you, hands down for sure.
I'm mad. I've seen this movie like a bunch of times, and I knew this question. I'm mad I didn't get 2 points, but it is what it is. But as soon as he said it, I was like, oh, it's fucking Percy and the Wallflower. I mean, they're in the car and they're in the tunnel, and he's like, I'm infinite or whatever. That's a line. That's a line.
Yes. Is the Silver Linings Playbook a young adult adaptation?
I don't think so.
People going through like
adaptation, but not very young adult.
grief and everything that are like in their 20s and 30s. Like, but
this one because I was like, is it The Outsiders or is it Rumblefish? Because they're both Francis Ford Coppola. They're the same movie. Like they both have like really big casts of like young hot 80s actors. Like it's just I was like, I'm gonna say The Outsiders, but if they say it's Rumblefish, okay, that's fine.
The amount of people that are in The Outsiders, everyone from like Matt Dillon to like Tom Cruise to Ralph Macchio to it's even Diane Lane. There's so many people in that movie. It's
they didn't list Tom Cruise, which was like really threw me off because like if they had said Tom Cruise, I'm like, fucking Outsiders. But this is just I've read the books. I read the books when they came out. Like I don't think I've seen all the Hunger Games movies, but I've read the books and they changed very little. Her name is Primrose in the books, so it's like, I don't know. It's just I don't want to like. Again, I don't want to demystify the game. I don't want people to like come away being like the Schmodown is easy, like anyone can do it. Like I just like I don't know. This is how I approach the Schmodown, which is to just like not approach it at all.
Well, all I'm hearing is that, you got to chill sometimes. These are, consider at the end of the day, as much effort and as much love and obsession and occasional addiction to Schmodown that we have as fans, as very passionate, not only reactors, but fans in general. Kelsey, I know you can, I'm sure you can stand with me when I say this. Sometimes it's just, you have to put things in perspective and be like, at the end of the day, it's literally about a trivia show. It's a trivia show about what year did this movie come out, or which movie did what's her name Blake Lively star in, kind of thing. So it just kind of putting in perspective like that just kind of helps. I don't want to say demystify, but it kind of helps you. It can help you really kind of calm down a little bit going into these rounds when so much anxiety and tension can be built up for sure. Like you said. Sometimes you can't breathe going into
and it's like not the end of the world if you don't know one question. I feel like that people say the first round isn't important, but I feel like some people miss a couple in the first round and they like freak out.
Yeah.
They're like this match is over and they just like shut down. I feel like the first round is important just for like getting in the right headspace. Like even if like she only scored 3 points, but she didn't freak out and she ended up coming back and tying it. Like you just gotta like. My advice to all Schmodown players is to just relax. just chill out. Yeah. Have a margarita. Put a jean vest on. Like, it's not a big deal. We're all going to be okay. Yeah, we're all going to be okay. I love Adam Witt is like the funniest dude I've ever met in my life. Like
I love John Kaiser. John Kaiser's the best, but I'm a fan of Adam Kaiser too. He did a good job during this match.
He was so excited to do it. He was like, we were talking before.
Wait, was Adam Witt in this match?
Adam Kaiser was.
Adam Kaiser, yeah, Adam Kaiser.
Sorry, Johnny's cousin from.
Wait, did Adam make a cameo at the very end? And I didn't see it.
He's filming Adam Kaiser because he knows so much about Adam Kaiser. I didn't know what to do. I was just like, should not know that that's Adam.
No, it's obviously Adam. It's obviously Adam Way. He's definitely one of my favorite competitors within the dungeon. He's pretty fantastic. Adam Witt's pretty phenomenal. But also, I've heard low key. He's also like, I don't want to say one of the managers of the dungeon, but he's low key one of the big motivators behind the scenes when it comes to training and helping motivating and everything in general. A lot of the other competitors as well.
Yeah, he's like indispensable. Like he was such a help before this. We did mock matches. We talked on Zoom. Like our big thing was like we don't want to do homework. Like, let's just talk about movies. So like we'd spend an hour just like he'd be like, so like what's your favorite movie? And I would tell him, he's like, oh, like when did that come out? And I'd be like, oh, I think it came out this year. And it was just like a conversation that was like kind of studying, but we were mostly just like talking about movies we liked. So that's that was our approach to it, and wit was like a huge part of it. He was always the one setting stuff up. He was always the one like making the Zoom calls. Him and Drew, Video Drew.
Oh, I'm aware.
She's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you're very aware. Who I've known for like a decade now, which is kind
I've heard, yeah.
I've known Video Drew back when she was just named Drew. She hired me. She gave me my first job, and it is like
she said that, yeah.
8 years later, I recommended her at Collider. We've known each other for forever, and it's so weird that we're now doing a trivia show on YouTube together.
In the same faction. It's almost like
yeah. And I was kind of hoping we'd be a team, but like I get why we're not. Like we have like all the same strengths, so it wouldn't really make sense. Whereas like Owen Mugen is, he's fucking 96 years old, so he's seen like all the classics and stuff like that. I would love to do another match with him. Mugen's such a cool guy. He's like as chill about it as me. We in that teams match, we were just like, anytime we would like go to talk, we would just be like, I don't know that, and he was like, I don't know that either. We were just like just say an answer. Like that was our deliberating was like the chillest thing in the world. I wish we hadn't gotten Kevin Smith. As you can see, I'm still very mad about the team.
Kevin Smith is low key hard. It really is. There's a lot of information.
Rachel Sodastrini, who's like the Kevin Smith whisperer.
Yeah,
she's the nicest person in the world. Rachel, so she's the
we love Rachel.
She's amazing.
I was so bummed after that match that the whole conversation was like about them being bad heels or whatever.
Yeah.
First of all, shut up. Like, what does that mean? And like, second of all, like, I don't know. Like, they're both really nice people. Like, it's just so funny when people are like, I'm not getting like worked. Like, it's not the heel stuff. I actually just don't like them. And I'm like, no. Like, that's the point. Like that means they did the good job.
They're doing their job then.
Yeah. they're supposed to be kind of, weenies at you and vice versa. Yeah. Well, I mean, going into this match, Ben Goddard, this is his rookie season as well, his first season. But, Rachel Silvestrini, she's also played last year, obviously, and she's a really great competitor, but they prior to this, she's been 100% a face. And so being a heel, there's a lot of definition of what is a face, what is a heel, what is a tweener, how far is too far, especially with some very recent character transitions, obviously, and what's considered too far, especially, do you have that conversation before, do you have it after, do you not have that conversation at all for a more dramatic effect or more authentic? So there's a big conversation going around it. And orchestrating behind everything is 100% Christian Harloff. He knows what he's doing.
He loves it. Like he loves when people are like pissed at somebody because he's a classic Carnival Barker attitude where he's just like that, which sounds really insulting. I didn't mean to call him a Carnival Barker, but like he controversy creates cash. Like it's just like he loves it. Like that whole Chandru thing where people are like, is he actually a dick? Like you could tell that like Christian loved it. And he loves that kind of
He's
stuff.
like, yes, I want more.
Okay, so right here, I'm so sorry. Right here, for that 5-point question, Vinny, did you happen to know Sabrina's 5-point question?
So you don't have to believe me, but I did. But like I'm
gonna go back for a second.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of conversation about it. People are mad it's a producer question. People are mad that it's it's hard, which is silly.
It's very hard.
It's a 5-point question.
So that argument, I won't give it the time of day. But like the fact that people like it's a producer question, it is really hard. But if you're involved with movies and stuff like that, like who Jason Blum. He did pronounce it wrong. I will say that. You know who that is, and you know what Blumhouse is. So the question is basically what Blumhouse movies have been nominated for an Oscar, which like isn't that hard. You just have to get there, and once you get there, and I will say Whiplash is like not immediately a Blum. People don't associate that with Blumhouse, but I mean, once you get there, it's really not that hard of a question. But I mean, again, in the moment, I'm sure, in the moment.
Yeah. Well, we don't get in Schmodown. It's very recent for question writers and just for Schmodown categories in general too. Like I said earlier, to involve producerial roles and everything like that, which I think completely changes the game for someone like a Steven Spielberg category, because he directed I feel like a bazillion movies already, and then suddenly he's at like 500 producerial credits. So it's kind of bonkers. Everything that he's been involved with, directly and indirectly. Yeah. So, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. Now, obviously, you had a stellar singles debut. You did fantastic at getting almost perfect in your first round, which is a huge achievement. You did really great in your second round, which is not an easy category. And like you said, it's not your wheelhouse. Third round, wham. So a lot of people are in the
movie anyone saw in theaters. It's the last movie I saw in theaters. I was so hyped.
Also, we have somebody in the chat.
Hey,
Vinny back in the dungeon soon. We got money to collect.
Oh yeah. Well, I got Smets behind me. He's watching behind my shoulder.
Oh yeah. That's a very great representation of Kevin Smets.
That's why I bought it. I was like, Smets. First of all, I'm so glad Kaiser's here. I love that man. He's I understand he couldn't be there for my match. I get it. He's a busy man. He's got business to attend to. I get it. I totally get it. He's got business. Well, yeah, it's not I'm not. He says it's a need to know basis, and you don't need to know.
Exactly.
So exactly. And he does his thing. And I don't ask questions. We don't ask questions in the dungeon. That's very important.
Exactly.
No, I do feel
like you're challenging.
Yes,
it's very challenging.
But with so Vinny, with working with the dungeon and everything like that, being able to work with Kevin Smets and everyone else that's inside of the dungeon, tell me about your relationship with Kaiser and the two of you specifically. Like, how does Kaiser work with you as a singles player? How is Kaiser going to move forward with you as a singles player? And now that, congratulations, we saw the match, you're going to move forward into round 2. Is there anything that you and Kaiser are specifically working towards going into your round 2 match?
Now that I'm an undefeated singles player.
Yeah, congratulations. Welcome, bud.
0 losses. No,
that's right. Hold it high. Seriously. No, seriously.
I mean, it's such a bummer because, we're supposed to do so much more this year. You know what I mean? Like, I right after my first match, the team's match, I talked to Christian. I was like, I'd love to do singles. And he's like, yeah, totally. And then like the world ended and we could never, I was supposed to be in the free, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I was supposed to be in the free for all, which would have been amazing.
Yeah.
That would have been, that was like, it was such a bummer, man. Cause it was,
I know.
It was,
I would have been there.
Like friggin' like, that month was like the month shit really popped off.
Yeah.
And like 2 weeks before the free for all, like the world just shut down. I was just like, oh, they're so close. I mean, if I was in horrible, like we all would have gotten sick and died, but like would have been, would have been a way to go out. But I was so excited for that because that would have aired before my team's match, so it would have been like my debut.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Like the free for all is like what I'm all about because it's just a mixed bag. Like here's movie questions. Here's like an endless round 1, and I'm just like, hell yeah, that's what I'm into. So it's just like, I was bummed I missed that. And then I was supposed to do singles if we could ever get back in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. Then I moved away from LA. And I was like, I don't know if I'm like ever going to be in the Showdown again. And we started doing this singles tournament. And I was like, yo, get me in that. And so we did. And it's really like, we're just taking it match by match because like, I don't even know what the season looks like anymore. So it's just like moving forward, I'm playing Ethan Herwin. That is all I know. All I know is that I will like eventually be playing Ethan Herwin, and whatever happens there happens there.
That has to be a big big weight on your shoulders going into that. So before we get into how you feel about Ethan Irwin, Kelsey, I need to know how you feel about this match and the end result about this match. So not only does this mean that there's one less person in the Finstock Exchange. Alex, thank you so much for coming on for this. So, as I was telling Kelsey, there's one less person in the Finstock Exchange going in for points for the tournament. The dungeon still has points getting ready for round 2 into the tournament. Kelsey, let me know how you feel about the dungeon versus the Finstock Exchange and the point system going into the rest of this tournament. Let me know how you feel about that.
All right, going into this tournament, I'm also going to take this moment to pull up something that our amazing Meg set up for us.
Hey!
Thank you, Meg.
Shout out to Meg!
I just want to look at the accuracy for a second. Look at that number, 92.9%. I think the dungeon is in for a treat with points. I think it's going to be fantastic. You have so many strong competitors from the dungeon in this tournament. Off to a great start. So, Finstock Exchange, they're going to have to keep up. Come on, Dagnino. What do you got?
Manager
I'm very excited for the rest of the dungeon match because like I think everyone in the tournament like has a chance. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people, I don't know. Just because we're not like on, they're like, oh, they're in the dungeon, so they're not good. But like no one's played all year. Like what is like when people are like, oh, he's in the like. I saw someone say that me beating Sabrina would be an upset, and I was like, she's never played. Like,
never played.
Played it.
Well, I do want to clarify. It is considered. I don't want to say a huge upset, but I think it is considered a community upset, if that makes sense, because you have played in teams, you have lost, but you have played in teams. You are obviously much more familiar, actually being in the match itself. However, she is so hyped up behind the scenes and outright, but she's also actively being trained by two champions, and two former champions with Mark Riley and Ben Bateman, who've all talked about praised her about how she's like the best new rookie coming out since everyone. I don't know. It's a lot of really cool.
I totally get it. Like and that honestly had me worried because I didn't know anything about her. Like it was like all I heard was people being like, she's the best rookie of all time, and I was like, well, shit. That's not good. But like it's just I don't know. And again, she did fantastic. Like she was. That comeback, I was terrified the entire time. And when she hit her 3, I was just like, what if I just get 3 questions wrong? Like, what if I just get 3 questions wrong and lose? Like, it's just, I don't know. But it was just so funny. It's funny when people are like, they're like, I don't think, when they were like announcing the bracket, they're like, oh, well, like, Vinny's not going to do anything. And I was like, I haven't played like all year. I had one teams match where I almost got a perfect round and I think I did pretty good. And it's just like, where is this idea coming from that I'm like not I don't know anything about movies just because I don't know I sound bitter. I'm like I'm completely going against my entire thing like that. I freak out about things, but it's just I don't know. It's just weird that this year where no one can play, we're still talking about win-loss records. I'm just like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of someone hyping you up, by the way, there's someone hanging out in the background that may have an opinion about that.
There he is. There he is. He's in the other room.
I had a guy had to come change a light bulb. I had to put a mask on.
Don't worry about it. How you doing?
I'm proud of this guy over here, Vinny the Ice Pick. Now, the best thing about that is I called up Christian. Normally, when you call up Christian, you say, I got to give these guys a nickname, right? You get about 8 of them wrong before there's one he globs onto. I'm like, this kid's the Ice Pick, right? He goes, yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
look at this kid's Vinny the Ice Pick, right? He goes, yeah.
That sounds
Kaiser, you're here.
The fastest nicknamed competitor in the Schmodown, right there.
I was like,
I believe it 100%. So Kaiser, thank you so much for coming into the Call to Action channel. We genuinely appreciate you coming in here. So Kaiser,
Well,
Vinnie.
the check cleared. That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah.
I thought you were here to just pop up a packet or
Jake
something.
Yakavetta, make sure that our checks are cleared. A big shout out to Jake for that. But Kaiser, you were here hanging out with Vinnie, the ice pick. So sorry. So
You can call him the six pack, the ice pack. You can call him pack of cards, pack of cigarettes, pack of whatever. That all sort of fits.
He's making sure the Schmodown is on chill for this. So Kaiser, I would like to know for this competitor going into the second round, Kaiser, for you as a manager, someone who has managed people who have ran with the belt and stuff like that, you got to feel good about Vinnie going into round 2. Please tell me how you feel about Vinnie going into round 2 for the Schmodown.
Let me tell you how I feel about Ethan Irwin. I'm not afraid of him. If you look up the word pudding in the dictionary, there should be a picture of him.
Wait, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be.
I don't know how else to explain it. And so I like our chances. I got a guy named the Ice Pick. I don't know if you know the kind of damage an ice pick can do. A lot more than pudding. So I like my chances.
Basic instinct.
Right there.
Find out.
Right there. That's
That's the first thing. I was murdered with an ice pick.
He didn't know what an actual ice pick was apparently until I drew a picture, and he's like, "Vinnie."
I don't know what an ice pick is. I thought it was
Did you not?
I just found out that it's not made of ice. Like, I thought it was like I was like.
Here's what it is. Here's what it is. And I can't believe we got to do this live on the air. But, sometimes, Kelsey, these are growing pains. Sometimes
they're not going to ask me.
We got to be. You know what? We got to be vulnerable. We got to show our inner dungeon, and
I have to show
cry together.
Some weakness.
This feels like Good Morning America of the Schmodown.
Honestly,
they're all got their own purpose.
I just want to hear what Kaiser says. Let's go, Kaiser. Let's do this.
Oh no, he froze.
Oh no, he froze.
Oh no.
Well, on the upside, Kaiser obviously
hilarious
doing amazing things, doing awesome things for the dungeon. Vinnie, you're bringing some awesome points to the dungeon faction overall. I know you said it's being part of this faction is a very new and unusual and an amazing experience, but how does it feel to kind of add points to a faction, the way you have in an upset?
It felt upset. It felt that was really important because I was like, no matter what happens the rest of the season, like I still scored some points for my faction. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted to get on the board. Like I just really wanted to win. Like at least, I just wanted to say like, oh, I have a win in the Schmodown. So like now, like no matter what happens, I have a win in the Schmodown, and I added some points to the dungeon. And I didn't want to let this guy down. He's counting on me. Like I feel like he drafted me when everyone was like, "Who the fuck is Vinnie Mancuso? Like who's that? What's an ice pick?" And I was just like,
an ice pick, by the way, is a thing that people in the 20s, I guess, maybe probably before then, but it's a pick that they used to chip blocks of ice, and then you sell like a bucket of ice to people.
Okay.
Before you could go to 7-Eleven and get the shit in a plastic bag. Some man used to have to chip a block off with a steel, metal. It's a weapon, Vinny.
That sounds cool.
The Italians used to use it to get a guy in the kidney when they didn't
I thought it was like exclusively a murder weapon. Like I didn't know the actual like.
It is a murder weapon more than it is an ice pick.
Honestly, in this day and age, it's probably used more as a murder weapon than as an actual ice pick.
Yeah,
I like.
Or blood ice.
I'm happy. That's what it is.
It's fine.
So that's me.
So Kaiser, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us tonight, Kaiser. We genuinely appreciate it. So you get to go into round 2, definitely with Vinnie. With Vinnie, you get to go into round 2. So Kaiser, I want to know as a manager, how are you feeling about this tournament overall? Kaiser, you've been in this league for quite some time. Please.
Yeah, all of a year and a half. And half of it was online.
Yeah. It's been the longest half year of my life, though.
Andrew Guy said this to me.
What is time?
Andrew Guy said, Kaiser, I feel like you've been in this league for 6 years, but you just got here. And I'm like, thank you, man. I mean, I feel like, I feel the love. Yeah.
Yeah, please let us know. So going into the rest of this year as an online format and for what we have to do for it, like as a manager, especially as a manager who came into this league with a lot of rookies showing up, please let us know, Kaiser. You have this opportunity to speak on what you did as manager going into this. So please, Kaiser, let us know how you feel going into this tournament, being the rookie manager of the year.
You mean the rookie whisperer? That's what I am. I'm the rookie whisperer. I said it before and I'll say it again. I'd rather get a bunch of new guys and try and prove something with the unproven than, take the people who have, rightfully so, built this brand and accelerated it and done mighty, mighty things. The Dan Merles, the John Rocas, the JTEs, as weird as his fucking ass is, all these great dudes Rachel Cushing, a complete animal in this sport. Like, these are inspirational people. That said, I like to come in with a bunch of untested kids. I wanted to get Parker. I wanted to get Vinnie. I wanted to get Brandy, I wanted to get people that we could form our own new thing, and Zipper says it best. Kaiser drafted who he wanted to hang out with. He wasn't thinking about points.
And you know what? I love that. I love that, Vinnie, going into the rest of what the season is kind of going into, being a competitor inside of this. Like, how do you feel going into the rest of this? Like, round 2, all of that good stuff, holding the dungeon kind of on your back, because we don't really know where the dungeon is going after this. Let us know how you feel about that, especially as a rookie coming into this league. Kind of like, I want to know how you feel about being a rookie and how all of us as fans, like me, Alex, Kelsey, like how we feel about this league as fans. Like, how do you feel as a competitor going into round 2? How do you feel about that?
Well,
Pressing us.
Zeke Gallo is correct. I am going to round 1 because I want to play in match, and so now there he is. I'm not going to round 2 yet, but I will when I beat Ethan Irwin. So we'll talk about that afterwards. But I mean, I just wanted to be in the tournament, man. Like I would have felt like such a doofus if I lost a play-in. Like God, that sounds really mean to Sabrina, but I just would have felt like I'm not.
You had a lot to prove. You wanted to come in and prove something. That's what I loved about. That's what I loved about this kid.
I was really
wanted. He didn't think he. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Vin. But let me spill. Let me spill for a minute. He was interested in the league. And the minute he had a whiff of it and he performed and he played with Mugen and he was under the lights and he saw all the great showmanship that goes into this son of a bitch was hooked in 100%. Me and him became very closer as friends, as teammates, and we got into it like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run some mock matches. We're going to do that. And we kind of learned, about how each other's processes work. My process is I'm available for you as much as my schedule is. I'm going to give you the time to grow. We got to learn about this shit together. We know what we're up against. You got no experience in a game of giants. Ethan Irwin is a giant. Dan Merle is a giant. John Roca is a giant. Kalinowski is a dicky dude, but he's also a giant. You see, when you're going up against these guys, you got to bring your fucking A game, man. It's for real. And he wanted to play, and that excites the shit out of me. Parker's the same way. They're the same, have that same spirit and want to fight and compete, and they love talking about it. And it excites the hell out of me when guys are that inspired and interested in the game.
Yeah, so, and I'm so happy that I feel like people are like, oh, it sucks that he has to play Irwin in his second single. I'm like that's awesome. Like, I would have usually had to wait years to play someone like Ethan Irwin. I'm just gonna do it immediately, and
that's fact, Van.
And I don't know, if I win, it's fucking.
You mean when you win? That's
when I win.
You know what? That's such a huge, interesting thing for the dungeon in general, Kaiser, especially because a lot of what fans know the dungeon as is an inner geekdom faction. Like Kevin Smets has been a
Eric Zippers,
Zipper's been there too. Absolutely, 100%.
No, but I'm saying
All
he's
of
not
us, like
just an
this
inner
top
geek.
three right here, have been fans of Zipper from day one. Absolutely, 100%. But like for the dungeon and coming into everything that you're coming into, Kaiser, I still feel like it's still kind of fresh for you in a way, but
Sure. No, you're right. You're 100% correct.
you're still a part of this league in a way that like newer managers need to look up to, but in a way that older managers are scared of. So is there a thing in your Vinnie? So
I agree. I don't think
how do you feel about this? Go.
I feel like I've this way. Okay. I feel like people are like, oh, Kaiser's just there to like, cut a promo. Like he's not like really a man. Like I don't think people understand like how good he is at the managing part of being a manager. Because he also is like a intimidating trash mouth like promo. Like people think that's all he is.
That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said about it.
It's true. It's true. I mean, like I've told him like this would be like 1,000% less fun if I wasn't in the dungeon, because like people would be like, but let's run drills, like here's a sketchbook full of titles, and I'd be like, I don't want to watch these movies. I have no interest. Like the way the dungeon trains is to watch and love movies and talk about movies, and people could say that's wrong. I feel like there might be like a whole reaction show now about how I said that strategy doesn't work. Like they're gonna talk about that. It's like
drinking on camera during the matches.
Don't make me look too bad. We do run mock matches, Vin.
No.
Okay, well, sometimes you don't put out the wrong message.
No. All I'm saying is the second when it would stop like being fun is when I would probably stop doing it. But like we run mock matches and it's a good time because we're
the Breakfast Club, Vinny. That's our crew. We're the Breakfast Club.
So here's the thing about factions really quickly, and I think it's agreeable between the three of us here and the five of us all together. So factions run in the way that they run, but really the managers are kind of a good testament to how the individual players of this league kind of run through what they need to go through.
You're coming with some 60 minutes fucking questions, huh? You're getting deep.
Yo, that's the best thing.
Queen of chill.
Thing about this season so far, seriously, because watching the way that the managers have been able to interact with their players has been such a deep level. Like, even if this is the only year that we get to see managers interact with the players, because 2020 is a special year all on its own, you all. We all know that, right?
So it's the Twilight Zone. That's what this is.
So if the new era in Schmodown is the one chance that we get to watch the managers interact with their players, this is something that us individually as fans need to accept and appreciate, because we will never get to see this ever again inside Schmodown. So this is a level of the league that we all have to love and appreciate, because this allows us as fans, like, the Schmodown is going to grow from here on out. No one who becomes a fan of the Schmodown after this gets to understand the level of play that we've had to develop from then to now to then, like in the future and stuff like that. So
I agree with you 100%. This is gonna, it's almost like it's like a Ken Burns moment in time. Like, remember the year of the lockdown when all their matches had to be over fucking Zoom or whatever? Like, yeah, that was a crazy year, man. Remember Smets lost to Chandru, but he beat the shit out of him the next year live in Chicago. I'm just trying to predict the future.
No,
but you know what I'm getting at.
That's the strategy that the managers and the players get to move forward with, and that us as fans get to kind of understand on a separate level. All of us right now at this moment in time have to understand that we're all in this weird.
Danie, to your point of us all being in this together, I have to say this. You know, people talk about God-given talent. This guy was given the God-given talent to play Jimi Hendrix could play the guitar better than anybody. You know, Stevie Ray Vaughan could play the guitar better than anybody. Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, these guys could hit home runs better than anybody. I guess what I got, I didn't get that, but I did get the best friends in the world. I'm not shitting you. Like, these guys in the dungeon are my pals, and for a bunch of guys who've not known each other so long, we've all become a goddamn crew and a club, especially through this COVID thing and having to schedule Zooms and hey, Wick, could you jump in for me because, I don't know, I got to fucking make a paycheck. You know, like, everyone steps up for everybody. Yeah. And everyone hangs together and everybody genuinely loves it. They break each other's balls. They laugh. And if anything I can be fucking proud of, it's that I assembled the crew I did because I love all of them as human beings. Mm-hmm. Of course, I love their characters and their beings, and I want them to win. But, dude, I told Parker, I go, in 40 years, when we're not answering fucking questions no more, me and you are still going to be friends.
Fucking hope.
And that's what I told him after fucking his match. I go, when he lost to Chance, I said, you know what, man? You'll be back. You're going to be a champion someday. But you know what's really important? In 40 years, 30 years, when this is all gone, me and you are still going to be friends. And he didn't look because we're on the phone. But, like, to me, that sums up my whole season right there, that moment.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sorry that I rambled for fucking.
I do think overall,
that sums up my entire life. For everyone inside of the Call to Action crew, every single person who I have had the opportunity to be involved with inside of the Schmodown, you all will be a part of my entire life from here on out going through that. So with that, Kaiser, thank you so much for those extreme words of wisdom. Vinnie, thank you so much.
You should do a whole more with Vinnie. Vinnie's got 30 more minutes in him, especially if we can get $250.
Vinnie, come on, chill.
Can get the Streamlabs with $250 more.
I was just saying,
it would be like an 8-hour chill episode. It really would. Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, overall,
I'm gonna wrap myself up.
Danie, we can do a Brian Dennehy watch along with me and Vinnie. I mean, we can make some money here.
I can talk to anyone for anything and allow anything like that. So Kaiser, thank you so much for coming in this. I'm gonna finish talking for the quick moment. So
you better cut me out then, because I'll just keep talking. Do what Harlock does. Just cut me.
She needs to. Vinnie, thank you so much. I'm gonna stop talking. Alex, I'm gonna let you go from here on out. Okay.
Got it.
It's Kaiser. It's Vinnie. I think at the end of the day, one of the big takeaways from this is that, you know, what defines a manager? Obviously, there's a lot of different types of managers, not only within Schmodown, but we can apply that towards, you know, a lot of sports in general. In order to be a manager within Schmodown specifically, you not only have to be a great manager specifically, you know, strategy and all that good stuff, and, you know, be able to have those relationships with your competitors, but you also have to be a motivator, and you also have to set the tone for your faction. You have to explain to them, this is what you're demanding. This is what this is like. You got to set the tone for what you're expecting from them going into the season. So if you're not expecting much or whatever may be, chances are you're probably not going to do well. But also vice versa. If you tell them right out, hey, we're going to walk away champions, crazy, right? So, you know, it's I can't wait to see, you know, not only more from you, Vinnie, but Kaiser obviously is going to kick some Tukas here pretty soon, you know, with you know, also Zipper. He's fantastic. He's doing so much better than before. Oh my gosh, he's just glowing and I love it.
Didn't Zipper have the same tattoo?
I heard about that. Yeah,
we were meant to be together in dungeon. That was like the first thing. I was just like, we like looked at each other and I was like, oh, it was the best.
It's fate right there. It really is. We are going to be wrapping up here in a hot second. Thank you so much for everyone that's hanging out with us. Everyone that, you know, Kaiser, Vinnie, Kelsey, Danie, my love, all you guys. And Paul, he's in the background. He's okay. Whatever. What's up, Paul? You guys, so thank you so much for hanging out with us and breaking down this match. Overall, we're so grateful and appreciative to really be part of this Schmodown community, which is, with everything going on right now, is a 100% a true blessing indeed. Okay, so just to wrap it up, like I said, we are going to be starting with Vinnie. Where can we find you? Everything you're doing, all that good stuff.
I am on Collider.com every single day. Collider does still exist. Contrary to popular belief, it is still a website. I write there. You will find me there every day. I'm at Twitter. It's my name +1, so Vinnie Mancuso 1. And that's it. And I will be playing Ethan Irwin soon. Look out for that.
Did you write an article recently for Collider where it was like ranking all Batman villains?
All DC
movies? DC villains? I saw that one and I was like, we agreed on so many. Riddler was like in the top 5.
I have opinions.
Riddler was in the top 5 and I was like, yes!
I love Riddler.
Jim Carrey, Riddler. So underappreciated.
Wow.
And over,
I don't even want to know what number that was at. I'll find it. And Vinnie, I'm at you, brah.
Please. I welcome the ats. I am a writer on the internet. I've heard it all.
It's just a challenge to him. Over to you, Danielle. Where can we find you? Everything you're working at, and just your beautiful face in general.
Thank you so much, Alex. You can find me on Twitter at DanieJoy, DANNIEEJOY. You can also find me here every Monday on the Call to Action Network, hanging out with my favorite co-host, Paul Denizio, hanging out with Schmodown personalities, all that good stuff on Chill to Action. You can also find me everywhere else on the Call to Action Network. That's it. Vinnie, can't wait for you to be on Chill to Action.
Just
DMs coming in hot. Absolutely.
You bet. One of us, Paul or I, are going to slap DMs.
They're open. I believe they're open.
Take it out of context. That could be so weird.
No, put it in context.
Okay, I'm just going to skim over that just for a hot second. Over to Kelsey, your gorgeous face. You're doing so many amazing things. Where can we learn more about it?
All right, you can find me at KelseyKins90 on Twitter and Instagram. Also run the Call to Action Podcast Instagram, so you can interact with me there. TeePublic, we've got merch. We've got masks. Wear your masks. I also have a Twitch stream where I play mostly DC-related games. I'm playing Injustice right now because it's one of my favorites. And I also will be reviewing all my favorite DC comics, as well as Joker Psychology, which will be my next project. So come hang out with me there.
Yes, I cannot wait for that review of that one in particular. Ooh, girl. And I'm Alex Mac, part of the Call to Action crew. You can find me hosting Schmobates every single week next Wednesday at 9:30 Central. We're going to be diving into the Den-specific questions. Kate Mulligan of the Den, she's going to be my co-host. It's going to be real fun diving into a lot of Den-specific questions. I also host a show called Cinema Bias with Video Drew of the Dungeon herself, and it's a whole fun time, and we really kind of dive into different genres and directors and all that good stuff that which are really going to challenge each other to kind of see movies that are kind of outside of our wheelhouse, such as, did you know, fun fact, I've never seen Children of Men, but also by extension, I've never seen it. I know a lot about it, but also, I don't care. No, I don't. But also by extension, Video Drew has not seen Karate Kid. So if we're going to talk about, he's not seen Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio. So who's the real monster now, guys? Who's the real monster? Okay, that's for you to decide.
Also, really quickly, I'm so sorry to interrupt for Alex. I'm so sorry. This coming Monday is Chill 2 Actions 50th / 1 year anniversary. So thank you so much. We might have a clip. I could possibly
the countdown one
if you want to.
Probably not.
Okay.
That was cool.
That's That is right, y'all. Thank you so much. Me and my favorite co-host Paul Denuzio hanging out for that, and we cannot wait to see y'all for that. That's it for me.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And we'll see you here pretty soon with more breakdowns, match reactions, interviews, all that fun stuff. So definitely stay tuned and keep watching movies and keep watching Schmodown and all the amazing people that are associated with it. Have a great day and wear a flippin' mask, guys.
Wear a fucking mask, please.
Very easy. Just wrap a
Wear
shirt.
a mask.
The easiest thing
For
in
the
the
love
world.
of God.
Exactly. It's not that hard, people.
And it's cheap. It's cheap, guys.